I hope this is working. Let's see. Okay. Cool. Hi there. I have never done a YouTube live stream before, so I'm sure this will be real janky. Okay, good. I'm glad y'all can see me. That's excellent. Yeah, I'm gonna drink some whiskey and read some Andy No. I can't think of a better way to spend my evening. I will be drinking Larceny whiskey, which was a gift from a pretty awesome person. I thought in honor of the grifter in chief, we could partake a bit. Here is to absolute nonsense. Excellent. Oh yeah, we'll just fuck it. You know what? You're right. For this, we're just gonna need to chug it. Hold on, I'm gonna go live on Instagram, which I've also never done. Anyway, who knows? I don't know how to social media. I'm ancient and old. Wait a little bit longer. Just make sure everything is set up. Yeah. Cheers. Before I start, I told people on my Patreon, which is the most pretentious thing I've ever said, that if they wanted me to blabber on something before I started, that I would. And somebody Sandra asked what my reaction was when I found out Andy was writing this book and how I thought that was going to go. And I assumed it would be nonsense. I assumed that it would be a big headache for everyone in Portland and beyond. I assumed it would be full of lies. And what I didn't assume was that he was going to move to the UK, where libel is really easy to prosecute. So good luck with that, buddy. If you're watching this, have fun with that. We have a suggestion to not do shots for every time the word Antifa comes up. I think I appreciate you looking out for my health. Thank you very much. I imagined I'd be dead. So I have not read any of this. I've looked through the pictures. I did a Twitter tweet about it earlier today, but I haven't actually read any of this. So I'm going in cold. I plan to laugh at this a lot, unless, of course, maybe it's great. Who knows? Maybe Andy No has turned a new leaf. But if it's anything like I think it is, I'm going to laugh a lot. I'm going to try to fact check on the fly. If people in the chat hear things that are just not true, drop it in the chat and I'll read that out as well. And we'll all just eviscerate this thing forever. Bigger chance of copyright infringement or libel. Ooh, I want both. Both is good. Both is good. It's going to be great. I really just hope. I mean, my God, this gentleman. And by the way, speaking of copyright infringements, I obviously would never pirate a book because that would be illegal. And if I did, I would never say that I had, because that would be silly. But obviously, it would never come up because I would never do that. But if I had, I think it would be illegal, but of course very moral, because Andy No's ripped off lots of my videos and I would feel no moral compunction. It's just that legally speaking, for any lawyers watching this stream, obviously, of course, I bought it, obviously legally. I in no way do I encourage everyone else out there to find an illegal way to get this. I would never encourage people to avoid putting money in Andy No's pocket. I would be very, very irresponsible of me. So I would never do that. Anyway, so there's a lot of good stuff in here, and I feel like there's a lot of chapters that we could choose, but I'm going with chapter 5, which was, it's entitled Origin Story. So we're gonna learn about the origins of Antifa, and I can't wait to find out where this terrorist organization originated. Maybe we'll find out what it stands for. Like, how did they come up with the name? You know, I guess we'll see. Chapter 5, Origin Story. In late October 2016, a magazine called The Week published an issue that predicted how supporters of Donald Trump would react when he inevitably lost the presidential election to Hillary Clinton. This is not what I was promised. I was promised an origin story, and I'm just getting bitching. All right. When he inevitably lost the presidential election to Hillary Clinton, titled After the Election, the cover artwork showed angry Trump supporters with ugly contorted faces carrying guns and weapons and torches. Oh, this did not age well, because this was written before the election in 2020. So, oopsie doopsie. Right. On November 8th, 2016, the day of the election, Sally Cohn, a left-wing CNN commentator at the time, no one in CNN is left-wing, Andy. No one. No. Tweeted, My sense is that if Trump wins, Hillary supporters will be sad. If Hillary wins, Trump supporters will be angry. Important difference. The tweet received thousands of shares and likes. The week's cover illustration and Cohn's tweet ended up being prescient. Yes. But both misidentified the would-be rioters. No. Hillary Clinton lost, and those who took to the streets in Portland were not wearing Make America Great Again hats, but rather black uniforms. They were Antifa. I've decided I want to die. So I'm just going to do a drink every time they talk about Antifa. It's going to be great. Carrying bats and other melee weapons, Antifa militants smashed property in downtown Portland and started fires on the streets. They caused over $1 million in damage in one night. The rioting lasted for days, leading to more than 100 arrests. And that, I mean, it's good that Andy Ngo has come out against riots. Weird how quiet he was in January, but whatever. I'm sure he was busy doing whatever it is Andy Ngo does in his free time. Which I'm guessing is nothing. He seems like a bored person. Like he seems very bored and sad. I don't know if that's true. Maybe he has a very rich inner life. But anyway, 100 arrests, Portland, Oregon. Not sure that's true. If anyone wants to fact check that, that seems like a pretty high number, and especially for breaking windows. Does anyone remember that one time where a Trump supporter beat a cop to death with a fire extinguisher? Because I remember that's a thing that happened. Let's see if we got anything else. Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, I wore all black in high school. You wore Antifa, didn't you? So did I, and I thought I was right wing, but I wore all black too. So I guess really the Antifa was within us all along. It's beautiful. All right, where were we? In Austin, Texas, around 2 gathered at the state capitol to protest the election results. Many of them were masked, and they broke into the state. No, sorry, they didn't break in. They didn't say that. That was someone else. A group began to attack the few Trump supporters who showed up to counter-demonstrate. Police made 6 arrests, identifying them as members of the Red Guards Austin, an Antifa group. Ooh. The goth to Antifa pipeline, indeed. I feel like there's actually some legitimate truth to that. It's because goths are awesome. All right, similar carnage was repeated a few months later during the day of the presidential inauguration in January 2017. In Washington, marauding gangs of Antifa overwhelmed police by breaking windows and hurling projectiles. They set a limousine owned by a Muslim immigrant on fire. I'm not sure that's true. Oh, interesting. We've got someone saying that Red Guard Austin are insane Nazguls. So that, I don't know if that's true. But yes, I am a tad hemorrhoid. How else could I get through this? Come on. Anyway, so yeah, Red Guard, possibly not the Antifa super soldiers we thought. I'm going to look that up. Hold on. Red Guards, American Marxist, Leninist, Maoist collectives. Okay, so they're Maoists, named after the Mao Zedong's Red Guards. Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know. Again, I mean, I guess for some value of Antifa, sure. If we're just using Antifa for everyone left of Fox News, why not? Okay, we'll go with it. All right, where were we? A limousine owned by a Muslim immigrant on fire. I wonder about that too. Maybe next time I'll go through and actually get the facts first. I do apologize for that. Not sure. The rioting caused more than $100,000 in damages less than 2 weeks later. That's awkward. Less than 2 weeks later, more Antifa violence was repeated on the West Coast, this time at the University of California, Berkeley, home of the free speech movement. On February 1st, 2017, around 1,500 left-wing protesters amassed on campus to shut down the scheduled speaking event featuring right-wing provocateur Milo Yiannopoulos. A word about that one. As I recall, and I may be thinking of the wrong Berkeley event, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Milo Yiannopoulos was threatening to dox undocumented immigrants at the college and target them, basically, and for all of his alt-right fanboys. And that seems bad. That seems like a thing that maybe shouldn't happen. I don't know, just a thought that I have. Let's see here. That hurts me. Anyway, masked Antifa extremists started fires on campus, destroyed property, threw incendiary devices, hurled rocks at police, and assaulted event attendees who lined outside Sproul Hall. I remember that pretty two-sided. I remember definitely brawls broke out. Definitely wasn't the most successful anti-fascist campaign since they returned to Berkeley like a million more times. But, we were all learning back then, right? Let's see here. I really thought this was going to be about Nazis. It is. I checked, but in 15 pages. This guy cannot write, and I'm embarrassed. Andy, no, I'm not trying to be mean, but you do not have a future in prose, except for with your fanatic base of whatever. It's fine. Violent riots continued in Berkeley through the summer of 2017, as they did in Portland. Over and over, street violence against individuals, property, and law enforcement was repeated in major U.S. cities, forcing Americans to become quickly acquainted with the Antifa phenomenon, which, of course, was the biggest danger in 2017. It wasn't the emboldened alt-right or the fact that Trump banned Muslim immigration or the rise in hate crimes. It was definitely some people in Black Bloc on college campuses who didn't want people to talk. That was for sure the biggest threat to America in 2017. And I think that's consensus, right? We can all agree. Let's see if we got anything about this. Yeah. He does write like a high school freshman. This is part of the appeal for Trump supporters. Quite right. I can't disagree. All right. So I'm so sorry. This is already so boring. He's just so bad at this. I really hope we get to the actual 1930s soon, because this is dumb. Okay, we're gonna go quick. The meteoric rise of the movement, virtually unknown to Americans only a few years ago, has led some to believe that Antifa is new. Here we go. This is wrong. The militant far-left movement and ideology have existed for over half a century in Europe. It has had decades to develop a coherent ideology and both violent and nonviolent strategies to undermine liberal democracy under the guise of fighting fascism. Quick note, we're talking about the 1930s. It's 2020. Over 50 is accurate, Andy, but under almost 100 would be better. It would get your point across better, Andy. I'm just trying to help you. I'm here to help. It would get your point across better, and it would be more accurate because, 90 is in fact over 50, anyway, I'm just saying, you could use work. I have done copy editing, Andy. You can call me. I know you have me blocked. Unblock me, reach out. I'm here to help. I want to help you be better because God knows you need it. All right, here we go. The Weimar Republic. The defeat of the Germans in World War I led to a period of intense political instability. The signing of the Treaty of Versailles in June 1919 was meant as a peace settlement, but the conditions it gave rise to eventually paved the ground for Adolf Hitler's ascension to power. That is an awkward sentence, and also, it's very simplistic. I don't think that it's a little bit victim blaming, Andy. We've gotten away from that in scholarship over the past 20 years or so. People don't use that anymore like they used to. You might want to read some new books. Under the peace treaty, Germany was punished with crippling reparation payments to the Allied powers for its role in the war, in addition to a massive reduction of its territory and restrictions on its military. That's true. Emperor Wilhelm II's sudden abdication of the throne further threw the new nation state into confusion. Between 1919 and 1920, the Weimar Republic faced uprisings from both the left and the right. That is technically correct. In January 1919, around 50,000 communists, known as the Spartacists, led a failed armed rebellion in Berlin. He's leaving out the Freikorps thing, which was a much bigger deal. That was when a far-right paramilitary movement attempted a coup. I'm a little rusty on my German history. I should have read up on it before this, clearly, but I assure you the biggest threat was from the right at the time. They wanted to restore the Kaiser. Also, real interesting language on this one. The sudden abdication of the throne is, I'm not saying it's the stab in the back myth where they're saying that somebody, it's a little bit reminiscent of it, because it wasn't this idea that they were winning all the way up until suddenly there was an abdication. They were like, they just like lost and somebody did it to them. Like that's some Nazi shit. And he's not saying it outright, but he's close, and I don't love it. What do we got? Does he leave out Italian anti-fascism too? I'm not seeing any evidence of it so far, Corey. Not at all. Not even a little. Andy is the fa to my auntie. Me too. Me too, Eros. Me too. Yeah, where is the beer hall push? I hope he gets to that. I kind of doubt he's going to. I feel like he's just going to talk about leftists breaking windows forever, because what else does he have to talk about? Let's find out. Okay, so by August that year, a constitution was written and adopted in the city of Weimar. Weird passive voice, but okay. But Germany did not have a democratic history or tradition, and the Weimar government was deeply unpopular. That's true. The country's monetary hyperinflation, caused by reparations payments it couldn't pay. You're skipping over a lot of history there, Andy. That's like a 7-year jump you just made. And yeah, they did do the hyperinflation to try to pay the debt, but again, it's more complicated than that, dude. Like that was a decision they made. That wasn't like an inevitability from the payments they were supposed to pay. That was a decision they made, dude. Like, I'm sorry. Okay, was further exacerbated by the global Great Depression. Oh my Lord, we are just jumping the fuck around here, because the Great Depression is in the 1929, 1930, and like, I guess it was earlier in Europe, but like, I don't know. This is a mess, is what I'm trying to say. This is a goddamn mess, and I don't like it. Yeah, I hope he never claimed to be a historian, Sandra, because oh lordy, he is not. By 1923, German, yeah, okay, interesting. All right, so if this is correct, and I haven't gone back again, I don't have German history dates memorized, but if the hyperinflation did happen in 1923, which sure, why not? That is way before the Great Depression, my dude. Oh boy. By 1923, German cash was practically worthless, adding to the political instability of the country that already existed since its founding. Historical photographs taken during the time, as opposed to contemporary photographs. These are historical photographs. It's important. Real historians know the difference between those two things. Yeah, 23 through. What's the difference, really? Oh my Lord. Okay, yeah, so historical photographs taken during the time show citizens burning cash to warm their homes. I wonder if that was a widespread phenomenon, Andy. That feels pretty. I'm not sure that was like a well-documented thing, but what do I know? I mean, I'm sure it was bad. I'm not trying to demean the hyperinflation that happened. It's just, I'm just nitpicking you because I don't like you. That's all. That's all it is. And I stand by that, by the way. And throughout the 1920s, political paramilitaries became the norm as groups and parties prepped their members to try to seize power or crush an opposing party's uprising. Oh boy. Okay. No. This makes it sound like for the entirety of the Weimar Republic, there were just street brawls and everyone was doing it all at once. There was always unrest. The unrest got a lot worse in the 20s and into the 30s, and the people driving that were the Nazis, actually. They were the Nazis. I'm not saying they were the first people to have a paramilitary, but they were the best at it, and they certainly upped the volume, and it's pretty disingenuous to pretend that, like, out of, like, some kind of melee battle on the streets of Germany, the Nazis just, like, happened to win. Like, that's not how it went. I did not see that coming. Let's see. Sorry, there's a lot of good comments here. I am going to be drunk pretty quick. I'm drunk already. I can't help it. Next time, I'm going to do like a mudslide. I'm going to do like a milkshake with like some Kahlua. I think that's the right drink for this. Anyway, don't you tell me what to do, Kyle. You're not the boss of me. You're not my real dad. All right. Where were we? What dumb thing were we on? Right. Okay. The paramilitaries were used as security for political gatherings and to violently shut down the meetings of opposing groups. The Republic was marred with wave after wave of tit-for-tat political violence. Okay, so this is the same thing. The paramilitaries, both left and right wing, are notorious for carrying out assassinations and committing brutal acts of violence. I guess technically speaking, R is fine. Were would be better, Andy. That is a weird, it's a weird tense shift. If you'd had an editor, you would have caught that. Again, I am here. Like, my rates are reasonable. All right. Efforts through the 1920s by the government to ban some of the paramilitaries failed. Nice truth-telling there. Yes, the government did try to ban some of the paramilitaries, mostly the left-wings ones, mostly the leftist ones, Andy. That's the ones they were scared of. They were real scared of the anti-fascists all through the 20s and early 30s, and then they crushed the communists, and as we all know, Germany did great forever. Everything was fine after that. That was the big threat, the communists. That's the important thing to take away here. All right. They simply regrouped and reorganized under new names. Nearly every political group or party had a paramilitary: the communists, the centrists, and of course the fascists. If by centrist you mean social democrats, then yeah, all right. But yes, again, we're flattening and equivocating some things that don't need to be equivocated, Andy, but all right. For good reason, the most remembered of German paramilitaries is the Sturmabteilung. Gotta learn German one of these days. It's the prettiest language. I can't fucking talk it. The original paramilitary of the National Socialist Germans Worker Party is also known as the Nazi Party. All right, good job, Andy. That's true. Good job. Gold star, Andy, for a rare moment of truth. It's based on the color of their uniforms. Thanks for clarifying, Andy. Okay, awesome. You're telling me the brown shirts were real and not a metaphor. God, this is some hard-hitting journalism right here. And later, the Schutzstaffel, also known as the SS, are well documented by historians and survivors of World War II. Yes, okay. The SS, which originally started as a bodyguard-type paramilitary for Nazi party leaders, later came to replace the Sturmabteilung and were used to carry out Hitler's final solution plan. I do apologize to anyone who speaks German. I know my pronunciation is bad. I've listened to German industrial for like 15 years and still I'm hopeless. I'm sorry. I'm an ugly American. What can I say? What we got here? We got a troll in the chat. The National Socialists were socialists. Oh, sweetheart. Fascists will use whatever buzzwords work for them in whatever time period they're in. They called themselves socialists because socialism was actually really popular in Germany in the 20s and 30s. It's like how they call themselves patriots in America because people like patriots here. They did some stuff that we would call socialism today. They had some government programs, but what they wasn't socialism, honey, nor redux. They weren't. But thanks for playing, and I appreciate you being here really a lot. How the heck did he graduate with a political science degree? I'd like to know, too. I have a political science degree. It makes me want to burn it in a fire. Was it sarcasm? I'm so sorry, dude. My bad. If that was sarcasm, then well done and well played. Anyway, I mean, it's good to clarify that anyway, because some people do think that. I do apologize, No Redux. You're awesome. I apologize for impining you in this way. All right. Anyway, back to the SS, who later came to replace the brown shirts, which is a real interesting way to describe the Night of the Long Knives, where the brown shirts were basically, their leadership was murdered, along with all the real socialists, or anyone that thought they were going to be more socialist. We'll just gloss over that. It's not important, right? While the brown shirts are well remembered in contemporary Western society, the history of far-left paramilitaries in the German interwar years has faded to memory. Like the Nazis, the Communist Party of Germany, the Kommunistische Partei Deutschlands, or KPD, had its own paramilitaries. That's true. The party was Stalinist in orientation and was closely aligned to the Soviet Union. That's also true, especially as things went on towards the end of the 1920s and into the 30s. That's true. At the National Conference of the German Communist Party in 1924, they formed a new paramilitary, the Red Front Fighters League. The League's paramilitary members had their own uniforms, and the group adopted the clenched fist as its symbol. I mean, let's be real. So the brown shirts had a uniform, and the KPD paramilitary also had a uniform. So what's the difference? Someone tell me what the difference is. I can't figure it out. I mean, basically the same in my eyes, as far as I can tell. $5 says no, gotta see average and poli-sci. I'm not taking that bet. I think you're right. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, right. So they both had uniforms. Leftist groups today from Black Lives Matter to Antifa have adopted that communist symbol of the clenched fists. A symbol that only the communists ever developed. First of all, I have no issue with this. But I believe possibly people have clenched fists before the 1920s. I think possibly people have done this prior to the 20s. Perhaps this is like actually kind of just a symbol of revolt, or maybe it's based in communism. What do I know? I mean, that's fine, really. I no quarrel with that. Through the 1920s, the Red Front Fighters League was extremely violent, engaging in clashes with paramilitaries of liberal parties. Come again? You read that right. The communist paramilitary was mostly preoccupied with fighting liberals and socialists rather than the Nazi paramilitary. I wish he wasn't right about that. He's not totally right. He's not totally right. There is a very long history of the KPD fighting the Nazis. However, it is true that in the late 20s, some orders came down from Moscow that the big enemy was the Social Democrats. They were fascism by another name. And not to get on a soapbox here, but we could learn a thing or two from that particular snafu, because the idea was that the real enemy were basically the centrists, the ones that were going to just kind of keep things going in numb gray hell land and continue to facilitate the conditions that make fascism possible. And it is absolutely the case that in the crucial years of like 1931 and 1932, the KPD did spend way too much of their time targeting the Social Democrats instead of the Nazis. But that does not negate their long and important legacy of resisting the Nazis before and during that. Mistakes were made. We can learn a lot from those mistakes, but it is a really, really disingenuous to say that all the KPD did was attack the Social Democrats. It's just not true. Yeah. Somebody asked what whiskey I'm drinking, and I'm going to take a break from this depressing shit to let you know. Once again, it is Larceny, in honor of Andy No, a grifter. It was a gift from someone awesome, and I'm really enjoying it. It is delicious. Yeah, Social Democrats were saving capitalism. That was the claim. Europolls is correct. It is a complicated situation. Again, mistakes were made. Not fair to characterize them as the enemies of democracy in this particular way, Andy. All right. Under the leadership of Ernst Thälmann, the German Communist Party and its various offshoots viewed social democrats and liberals as social fascists, no different from Nazis. In fact, Communist International, the Vladimir Lenin founded group, Communist International. Vladimir Lenin, I don't know. I don't know enough about that history. Maybe Vladimir Lenin personally founded the German branch. I wasn't there. The Vladimir Lenin founded group that promoted communism around the world believed that social democracy would inevitably lead to fascism. And again, there is truth to this claim. But it is, as usual, Andy, one side of the truth and not the whole truth, which is your favorite kind of truth. Let's move on. Scholars estimate the Communist Red Front Fighters League had upward of 130,000 members before it was banned in 1929 following days of deadly rioting. Yeah, weird how the government banned the communist militia in 1929 and then everything was fine. Nothing bad happened after 1929 in Germany. Everything was pretty chill, as I recall. I mean, I haven't read recently the Wikipedia, but I'm pretty sure after 1929, everything was chill. They elected Angela Merkel, and Germany became a financial powerhouse, and they were very peaceful. Everything was fine. All right. Despite claiming to be Germany's only anti-fascist party, the German Communist Party sometimes worked with the Nazis to undermine the governing Social Democrats. Occasionally and late, and it was bad, but again, not the legacy of the fucking KPD. Not fair. Not fair or cool, dude. Not fair or cool. They wanted to seize power by any means necessary. For example, in 1931, they supported the Nazis and other right-wing groups who had initiated a failed popular referendum meant to bring down the Prussian Social Democrat government. Again, this is Andy No's favorite trick. He just likes to present one side of the story and simplify it beyond recognition, to where, like, there's a kernel of truth to this. Like, the KPD fucked up. And again, we should learn the lessons of the KPD. Like, now, here, today, we really, oh my God, if we could please just learn those lessons before it's too late, that'd be so good. But not fair to just reduce them to, like, the handful of times they fucked up in this particular way. They were anti-fascist. There's a lot to admire there if you actually read the history, which Andy No never will, because that would take work. And why work when you can grift? Let's see here. Thank you for the back wall comment. It is vinyl. It is not real, but doesn't it look real? It makes me so happy. I shouldn't have told you that. Who's Jeff Donhauser? There's drama. There's drama in the chat. I got to know what it is. I'm sorry. Well, I don't know what's up with you. I can't. It looks like you're arguing that Trump wasn't a fascist. He sure did act like one, didn't he? He's just a bad fascist. That's the trouble. We have the most embarrassing fascist. We just, really one of the worst fascists that ever existed. He just wasn't very good at it, but that doesn't make him not a fascist. He did some shit, dude. Anyway, all right. Right. So now we are on to the next subheading, which is anti-fascist action. Let's find out. In May 1932, the German Communist Party announced the formation of the Anti-Fascist Action, parentheses anti-fascist action. In case you needed a translation of that, he provides one. You're welcome. Commonly referred to as Antifa, a new paramilitary communist group. Weird. Why would anyone want a paramilitary in 1932 to resist fascism? Obviously an overreaction. This is the original Antifa and the group that contemporary Antifa around the world take inspiration from. The paramilitary was created to bring together a coalition of communists at the community level to oppose and fight political opponents. Andy, what were the political opponents, Andy? What were they called? Can you give us a name? Did they have a name, Andy? Were they called something? Probably not. Probably just anyone they hated, right? Like 1932 Germany. Like, come on, everything was chill. I'm sure they were just beating people up on the street for no reason. Though calling itself the Anti-Fascist Action, those who served as decision makers on its executive boards consisted of members of the German Communist Party and other allied communist groups. That's not a contradiction. That's just a statement of fact. Like, it's constructed as a gotcha, but there's no gotcha there. Simply put, the Anti-Fascist Action was a communist organization under a thinly veiled new name. Okay, I see what he's doing here. He's saying that basically Antifa is a synonym for communist, which, all right, interesting choice. We'll continue to interrogate that. Let's see here. It held rallies and developed its own propaganda. The two flag logo used by today's Antifa groups is based on the original red flags logo of the Anti-Fascist Action. The two red flags symbolize the union of communism and socialism. Andy, you live in Portland. You've seen the stickers. It's a red and a black flag here. It's the union of communists and anarchists, Andy. I know it's all the same to you, but like, you do have a political science degree, and those aren't the same thing. Not always. Andy, why are you like this? I feel Antifa, but not communist. Should I explode in contradiction? Kyle, you must explode in contradiction immediately. The fact that you aren't exploding right now is just a testament to the fact that you are, in fact, a communist, and you have been all along. So get used to it. Yeah. Thank you, Sandra, for summing that up. Communists are part of Antifa. Therefore, Antifa equals communists. Look at that unassailable logic. Antifa ate my homework. Yeah. Brian Jennings, thank you. I thought so. I thought it was a red and black flag then, too. I mean, why fact check? I mean, why? Like, honestly, if you're just going to lie, there's no reason to, right? All right, let's see. Where were we? The two red flags. Okay, we did that. Like the other communist paramilitaries before it, the anti-fascist action was involved in political street brawls. With who, Andy? Who were they brawling with? You want to tell us? No? All right. They also acted as security and self-defense for communists who lived together in select neighborhoods and apartment buildings. Andy, who were they defending against? Andy, come on. It's the Nazis. They're defending against Nazis. You can't say it. I can't. Okay, this is fine. While the communists were occupied with fighting the Social Democrats and liberals, the appeal and power of the Nazi Party continued to grow. Again, these are true statements arranged in an order. They're simplified and they leave a lot out, but okay. By July 1932, the Nazis became the largest party in parliament with 230 seats. True, I don't know about the number, but true about the majority. Wait, I'm so sorry. The Social Democrats were behind at 133 seats, and the German Communist Party had 89 seats. The campaign season was marred by exceptional levels of political violence between fascist, social democratic, and communist members. Yeah, seems like a problem, Andy. The fascists were being awful violent during that time, you're correct. By January 1933, President Paul von Hindenburg appointed Hitler as chancellor. Because he was scared of the commies, Andy, that's why he did it. He did it because people like you convinced him that the biggest threat to Germany was the left. Andy, that's how that went down. Europolls brings up a good point. And by the way, I do apologize. I'm probably missing great comments, and I'm not just not looking at them because I'm too busy reading this and dying inside. But he's trying to suggest it was only the job of the KPD to stop the Nazis. What about the Social Democrats, Center Party, and conservatives? Great fucking point, Europolls. The Social Democrats did have their own militia, which Andy isn't mentioning because it would be inconvenient for him. But that's where the Iron Front comes from. That was the Social Democrats. And they were very dedicated to stopping the Nazis. And I think that's one of my favorite logos for that reason. I think they did really good. The centrists and conservatives really fucking dropped the ball. That doesn't seem familiar. That's no parallels to today. No siree. Totally different time, totally different problems. This is fine. Let's see here. Jeff Dunhauser says that we're addicted to Andy. I am addicted to Andy, Jeff. I love him so much. He's all I can think about, just his weird little tiny face and how he whines all the time and how he grifts and how he provides kill lists to Atomwaffen. The way that he has absolutely no shame, the way that he's not embarrassed to just act like such a whiny victim, the way he just lies all the time. It's like fucking cocaine for me, Jeff. It's just amazing. It's my favorite. Is this what live streaming is? Am I doing this right? I have no fucking idea. I hope this is chill. Oh my God, please someone make tiny face Andy. All right. Back to history. Real good history by a real good political science major by Mr. Andy No, BA. 2 months later, after the appointment of Hitler as chancellor due to people like Andy convincing Hindenburg that was the right call, the Reichstag, or parliament, passed the Enabling Act, which gave Hitler's government the legal authority to be the dictatorship. Andy, why? Why did they pass it? Why did they pass the Enabling Act, Andy? Are you just going to leave out the fucking Reichstag fire? You're just going to fucking leave that out? What the fuck, Andy? Why are you like this? Who hurt you? The communist efforts to take control of the state failed. The German Communist and Social Democrat parties were both banned, leaving the Nazis with no political opposition as they implemented their expansionist and genocidal agenda. Doesn't that seem bad? Don't you think maybe we shouldn't have banned them? What the fuck what are you talking about? What are you doing? Who hurt you? in the shit is happening here? I can't with you. All right. Well, congratulations on pinning both the lack of opposition and the opposition of the KPD on why the Nazis came to power and just leaving the Reichstag fire out like that wasn't a fucking thing. All right, we got more. It's been 40 fucking minutes and we got more. I don't know what to do. All right, we'll keep going. We'll keep going. We'll do this. No one wants to kill Andy No. We just like him to shut the fuck up for it. No one wants to kill Andy No. Come on. There's been some graffiti that says kill Andy No. I don't want to kill Andy No. I just want Andy No to find a nice man. To just find a nice fucking bear or twink or whatever you're into, Andy. I'm not here to judge you. I just want you to find love. I want you to use all that grifter money to buy a nice house in the suburbs. Andy, I want you to be happy. You've never been happy. We have your old Reddits, Andy. We know that you grew up closeted and then you felt like you couldn't find love because you were fat, which, by the way, I know it's tough to be a fat gay guy, but there's some dudes who are into it and now you're not anyway. You got the body you wanted, Andy. So just go be happy, dude. If you're watching this, I'm serious. You aren't watching this, but if you were, I want you to be happy. We all want you to be happy. You don't have to live like this. Go find a nice man and settle down and learn to love yourself for the love of God and stop bothering us. What the fuck are you doing? I've seen your apartment. You don't live good, dude. You don't live happy. Fucking get happy, dude. Life is good, all right? There's good shit out there. COVID's going to be over soon. Go to Ibiza. Just fuck everybody. I don't know. That's my love advice. You're welcome. How many pages is this historical white box book? 319. We're not getting through all of it tonight. Unbelievable. Can you imagine shitting out 300 pages of this shit? Jesus Christ, I would be so embarrassed. He does. Okay, does he post photos of his apartment? I'm assuming because he did a Senate hearing and everything's from Zoom now. He had a Senate hearing and it looked like he was in a college dorm room. I understand my setup isn't luxurious, but I assure you, I don't live in a college dorm. He just doesn't look, and he just never looks happy. He's always sad about something, Anyway. Do gay men want fascists with a bad accent? Honey, there is a fetish for everything. There is someone out there for you, Andy. Someone who's you know what I want? I want this really insecure Asian guy with a really bad British accent who provides kill lists for Adam Waffen. That's my fetish. Go on FetLife. You'll find him, Andy. You'll find him. I don't know what you thought I was like. This is me. Sorry. All right, let's move on. Let's learn about Antifa state building. Antifa builds states, an organization that, first of all, isn't one, and secondly, a lot of anarchists call themselves Antifa. Building some states. Let's get to it. Someone said drink? Yes, please. Historians of World War II have documented how German communists aided the Nazis in their rise to power. Oh boy, is that bullshit. The German communists were the least of it, my dude. Holy shit. They rallied with the Nazis a handful of times, but I assure you, Paul von Hindenburg and the conservatives have a lot more to answer to than your fucking KPD. What the fuck is the matter with you? For one, their preoccupation with fighting the Social Democrats and liberals, whom they called social fascists, true, weakened a united opposition to the Nazis, true, and further undermined the legitimacy of liberal democracy in the Republic. That's a fucking stretch, dude. Liberal democracy in the Weimar Republic was plenty fucking undermined by the 1930s. That's not on the KPD. That's on the Weimar Republic being poorly written and on the stab in the back myth more than anything, dude. The thing that undermined Weimar democracy, if you're worried about that, if that's your fucking concern, Andy, the thing that undermined Weimar democracy was the myth that Germany was winning World War I, and then the Jews stabbed everyone in the back and were the November criminals who went behind everyone's back and arranged this horrible peace treaty, the Treaty of Versailles, and forced Kaiser Wilhelm to abdicate, when in actuality, Hindenburg and Ludendorff negotiated that shit and then pretended that they didn't because it was real unpopular for reasons that should be obvious, because they lost a bunch of land and they had to do a lot of reparations and they had lost a war that they said they were winning right up until they weren't. But Andy, dude, that's what undermined Weimar democracy. That That's what did it, Andy. It wasn't the KPD. That was a fucking, it's just not true. It's just not true. Andy is a Portland native. You're correct. No redux. And again, I do apologize for taking you seriously. Your joke was good. I'm just drunk. He was born to Vietnamese immigrant parents here in Portland. He is not actually from Britain. The accent is came to him in a dream, I assume. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation why he has it. It's not just pretentiousness. Oh, I hope Andy sees your comments too, Jeff. I do. I think it would mean a lot to him to know that somebody is like defending him in here. You're correct, Europolls. It was Jews and socialists. In the parlance of Nazism, it's the same fucking thing. Turns out Jews are just whatever you hate if you're anti-Semitic. Neat. Yeah, you know, Eros the Forgotten, I do think maybe his British accent will get better now that he's in London. Like, he has no excuse now. Like, he's surrounded by it. So he should be able to develop a better one, maybe one that doesn't go in and out. You know, my stepbrother spent like 3 years in Britain, and he kind of developed a bit of a British accent, but his was better. I'm not going to lie. His was way better. And you got to work to do, Andy. You got to study. Let's see here. All right. Where were we? Okay, yeah, and at times throughout the 1930s, the German Communist Party even collaborated with the Nazis to oppose a mutual enemy. We've already addressed this. It's bullshit. It's true, but it's not like a truth that is as important as he's making it out to be. He's just doing the thing where he self-serves himself. I'm going to move on. We're going to move forward. I'm going to get over it. I can't get over it. It makes me so mad. Ah! While the anti-fascist action and all opposing groups were banned after Hitler became head of state, the Antifa communist ideology never went away, despite Hitler's best efforts, guys. He tried so hard to save us, Hitler did, but unfortunately he failed. Let's continue. From the ashes of World War II, it was absorbed and institutionalized in the official state ideology of what would become the German Democratic Republic, also known as East Germany. From 1949 to 1990, East Germany existed as a communist state, carved out of the Weimar Republic by the Soviet Union, one of World War II's victorious Allied leaders. It was not carved out of the Weimar Republic, Andy, because there was this little thing that happened between 1933 and 1945 called the Nazi Party. I know you want to forget, but we all remember, Andy. And just because they were communist does not mean they were anti-fascist. Although I see that your work you've done earlier about making those two words synonymous, I see that you're putting it to good use here. We've got a request to have this read in a British accent. Did we just skip a whole period? We did, Charles Blue. We did just skip the entire Nazi period of German history. We did that. We just jumped over it. Is it important? Come on. How bad could it have been? I'm sure it was fine. What's the worst thing Nazis could have done? I'm sure nothing bad happened between 33 and 45. All right, we're gonna do a shitty British accent for a little bit. I'm not gonna be able to sustain it, but we're gonna do it for a minute. Let's see here. Yes, okay. For over 40 years, the extremely repressive conditions in East Germany exemplified what an Antifa state building actually looked like. Through the East German Ministry for State Security, better known as the Stasi, citizens were monitored and spied on. Oh wow. He's gonna blame everything about East Germany on Antifa. That's what he's gonna do. That's his fucking plan. That's amazing. Oh my God, we're gonna speed read because this is gonna be so infuriating. I can't. I fucking can't. Okay, this is fine. The secret police agency was originally modeled to be similar to the Soviet Union secret police, the KGB. The Stasi's mandate by the state was to weed out political dissenters and to terrorize the masses into compliance. In addition to conducting espionage, Antifa groups today do something similar on a community level. Okay, I gotta read that. Okay, the secret police agency was originally, the mandate by the state weed out political dissenters, and terrorize the masses into compliance. That's Antifa, folks. That's what they do. They terrorize the masses into compliance. One time I misgendered somebody and they killed me. I'm dead now. It was an accident, but they fucking murdered me. It's true. Portland's on fire. I don't know if you saw the Forbes article, but Antifa does nothing but repress people and listen to their private communications. It's a real problem. The only reason I'm even on Antifa's side is because there's somebody behind me with a space laser, like ready to blast my brains out if I don't. Didn't I just pour a glass? This is fine. Fascism bad, so communism. Bro, yeah, I mean, Stalinism was bad, but communism's a lot more than Stalinism, Jeff. But I do appreciate you being here, truly, Jeff. Thanks for lasting it out. Yeah, no, Portland did burn to the ground, Indigo Bloop. You are correct. That's why this is fake, because there's no wood left. This is, if I panned out, what you would see is that this is like a burned out husk of a building, and there's just like rubble all around me. There's nothing left. I'm dying. I'm so hungry. Will somebody please help me? Won't some conservative group please donate to me so I can eat? I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry and sad. Oh God, I'm so cold. Won't someone help? Europolls, you're correct that I should slow down, but I'm not going to. Okay. Okay, this is fine. I'm so sorry. I've just glanced at what I'm about to read, and it's real dumb. Everyone strap in. Everyone ready? Everyone ready for some dumb shit? All right. Secret police form a pillar of communism. Under Maoist China, a similar system was deployed to spy on its citizens. One could never know if their friend, family member, or spouse was an informant. In East Germany, the mass persecution and psychological warfare against its own citizens, suspected of political wrongthink, was justified by the communist state in the name of fighting fascism. But to them, fascism referred to the West and its governing system of liberal democracy. I am not here to be a tanky because I'm not one. Stalin was bad. Mao was bad. The Cultural Revolution was bad. Blaming that on Antifa is also real bad, Andy. It's ridiculous. It's real stupid. Sorry, this is embarrassing for you. I'm embarrassed for you. Someone's got to be embarrassed for you because you're not capable of being embarrassed for yourself. I'm glad you don't like Nazis, Jeff. Good call. They're not good people. What we got here, though, is Andy doing the thing that he does, where he basically flattens anti-fascist sentiments into being opposed to like anybody they label Nazis, and saying that it's just like a label that they throw around randomly. And I'm not going to sit here and say that historically speaking, the label of fascist hasn't been applied to some dumb shit. Like, it has, all right? Like, people have abused that word horribly, but that doesn't mean there aren't real fascists. And Andy, again, if you're listening to this, dude, they're not going to let you live. Like, you know that, right? Like, if your side wins, they're going to kill you because you're gay and not white. Like, it's not going to work out for you, bro. It's going to work out for you right up until that point. And maybe that's worth it to you. Like, maybe owning the libs is worth enabling the people that will eventually murder you. But like, bro, again, I swear to God, get on fucking FetLife and find a man, a good man to fuck you. Just do it. I'm anti-sex on the right, as everyone on Twitter knows, or on the left, as everyone on Twitter knows, but the right, in your case, Andy, you gotta find a man. You just gotta. I'm sorry. I hope that's not horrible, but it's how I feel. Let's see what we got. I'm sorry, I have to take a break to read your comments because your comments make me feel like the world isn't just this book. I hope that's okay. Yeah. No, it looks like a solid comment section. All right. Andy does need a bear, no redux. He just needs a good, nice bear to like love him and like, give him what he needs. And I support this. Like, we all just need to get happier and stop making kill lists for Adam Waffen just for a little bit, just as a treat. All right, let's continue with this fucking horror show. Following the end of World War II, Walter Ulbricht, why are German names so cool? A key architect of the Weimar era German Communist Party, returned from exile in the Soviet Union to reestablish a communist party along Stalinist lines in the Soviet-occupied part of the country. Are we really just going to talk about East Germany for like hours? Is that what we're going to do? Okay. Under his leadership, the Socialist Unity Party of Germany was founded. This remained the one party in control of East Germany from the state's founding in 1949 to its end after the fall of the Berlin Wall. Under Ulbricht's leadership, East Germany ruled over its citizens with an iron fist. The East German uprising in June 1953, in which more than 1 million people revolted against the communist government, resulted in the Soviet Union using its military to violently suppress demonstrators. The death toll has never been officially determined. The historians estimate that hundreds were killed. Yeah, Andy, cool. None of this has anything to do with Antifa, and it's weird that you haven't mentioned the Nazis and their death toll. It's fine. The early years of East Germany demonstrated that the political dissent would not be tolerated, much like how Antifa treat their critics today. Andy fucking Christ, dude. What the fuck? Again, you leave out the Nazis, famously tolerant of their political enemies. Famously. Like, I'm too drunk to remember what the patch was for political opponents, but like they had one. I know they had one. Was it the upside down red triangle? Was that the one? Someone tell me in the comments. Was it the upside down red triangle? Someone's got to help me. I'll try not to get alcohol prohibiting no redux. I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. Sven Antifa Cat confirms my theory. So yeah, but Andy No leaves this out. And again, like this is the poison of Andy No. Like the problem with Andy No isn't even that he's wrong. He is, but that's not the issue. Like the problem with Andy No is that he has an agenda and he reports only the facts that support that agenda. And then he accuses everyone else of doing what he does, which is reporting only the facts that fit their agenda. And people eat it up because they want to hear what he has to say. Like they want that confirmation. And they want to be able to point to Andy No as a token and say, look at this gay Asian man who thinks that I'm right to be a white supremacist. And they're using you, my dude. They're using you. Like, if you're going to sell out like this, at least get a better house. That's all I'm saying. Like, I understand people hurt you. I understand you were sad as a child. I understand that it was rough for you being like what you considered to be fat and gay in your teens. But like, bro, you don't, if you're going to sell out like this, if you're going to fucking sell out yourself out to an early grave, you need to enjoy it more. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Okay. All right. Red triangle for lefty, pink triangle for gay. What if you're both? What if you're gay and a fucking communist? What are you going to do? I don't know. They didn't think about this. Maybe it's redundant. Maybe they just assume everyone who's left is gay. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's true. Like, we've all got a little bit of the big gay. Like, I've got the little gay, but most of us have the big gay, and there's at least a little gay in there somewhere, right? It's fine. Okay. Do I have to keep reading this? I fucking hate this. I can't tell you. This is so much worse than I thought it was going to be. There were combo patches. That's awesome. I'm only gay on the weekends. Oh, yeah. I missed before COVID. This is fine. Okay, let's keep reading this horrible book. Political scientist Helmut Müller-Inberg estimated that up to 620,000 people worked as secret informants for the East German secret police. Formerly called unofficial collaborators, the informants' numbers in the tens of thousands at any one point. The labor of state infiltration into every aspect of daily life cannot be understated. From apartment buildings to factories, schools, universities, and more, no activity or space was free of spies. Citizens deemed worthy of medicinal surveillance had their homes secretly bugged with cameras and microphones. The documentations of East Germany's 4-decade reign of communist oppression in the name of anti-fascism is extensive. Oh! Is that what it was in the name of? Is that all it was? It was just because they didn't like Hitler? Is that all it was? Okay. Andy, this is some bullshit. I gotta drink some water. I'm gonna die. Jeff, I'm not here to shame you for your fetish at all. Truly, I'm not. But like, you're in the wrong place. Again, I feel like FetLife would be better for you. Go to FetLife. I'm sure there's like a whole ass thing for people like you who think the Nazis were hot. And that's fine. I'm not here to judge you. Is this the anti-addiction recovery group? It is. Hi, I'm Laura, and I'm an Andy-holic. I can't get enough. She's just so good. That's why I want to die. All right, let's keep reading. The documentation of East Germany's 4-decade reign of communist oppression. Okay, we already read that. And the name of anti-fascism is extensive. In fact, one of the most important tools in addition to the Stasi was the Berlin Wall, known by its name in the East as the Anti-Fascist Defense Wall. East Germany's anti-fascist repression against its own people was not its only sin. Like Antifa ideologues today who call for terrorist attacks against the state and its institutions. Does anyone remember January 6th when the Trump supporters stormed the Capitol and beat someone to death with a fire extinguisher? Have we... God, can you imagine your book coming out like a month after that? Like, it hasn't even been a month. It's been 3 weeks, which means this shit was definitely in publication. Like, it was too late. By the time January 6th happened, it was too late for him to change it. Oh, it's beautiful. Like Antifa ideologues today who call for terrorist attacks against the state and its institutions. East Germany supported terrorism. Of note was the Stasi's logistical and financial support to West German far-left terrorist groups, the Red Army faction, also known as some German thing I'm not going to pronounce, which was formed in 1968. Throughout 1970s, they killed dozens of people in West Germany. You know what? I'm going to skip ahead because he's just going to talk a lot about East Germany. And he's just decided that that matters for some reason. Like that East Germany was an anti-fascist state run by Antifa who did Antifa shit. And it's not true. It's not the case. So I'm going to skip ahead until he stops talking about this. Hold on. Okay. It actually only went on for like half a page, but still. I saved myself a little bit of alcohol poisoning and I feel like we can all drink to that. Ooh. Andy No pulled the covers off who was financing and driving Antifa. I do recall over $1 billion in insurance claims on public and private property and over 700 people killed by anti-fascists, Vincent? 700 people killed by the anti-fascists? Is that accurate? Vincent? Come on. Really? 700? Come on. Jesus fucking Christ. Like, if you're gonna lie in a reasonable goddamn fashion like an adult. I am embarrassed for you. This is... Okay, Vincent, whatever. Go off, King. It's fine. All right. I actually would get to skip much. The rhetoric used by Bader Meinhof Gang members, which I'm not going to fucking read. Wait, shit. I'm so sorry. Is nearly indistinguishable from language used by Antifa extremists today. The same goes for their violent tactics, although contemporary Antifa groups currently lack the high-level support needed to carry out mass deadly attacks. But this doesn't stop them from trying. You got an example? You got it? No, there's no citation there, guys. It's just assumed that Antifa keeps trying to kill lots of people and failing. All right. All right, fine, cool. If you got statistics for that, Jeff, Vincent, anybody, please fucking throw them in the chat. I'll read them out. I'll read them out loud verbatim. I promise. I won't censor you. I'm not here to censor anybody. I'm a free speech advocate. Tell me about all the deadly attacks Antifa's carried out. As far as I know, the only deadly attack this summer was Eric Reinl shooting that guy from Patriot Prayer, which, like, not a fan, honestly, but that was one dude, and yeah, not seeing a lot of mass shootings from Antifa. Seeing a lot more of the mass violence from your boys, but all right. Anything? Come on, Vincent, come through. Come on, Vincent. Come on, Vincent. Vincent, come on. I'm waiting for you, Vincent. You got this. Fucking Vincent, letting everyone down. Let's keep reading about the evils of Antifa, shall we? All right. The misnomer of anti-fascism holds steady today for contemporary Antifa groups. They advocate for the overthrow of liberal democracy and the abolishment of capitalism. I mean, the second part's true, sure. And the legacy of a pervasive surveillance culture provides one of the pillars for Antifa activities. East Germany, or Chaz for that matter, demonstrates how the Antifa ideology functions in practice when it is institutionalized across the population. Oh my god! Oh my god! Fucking East Germany and Chaz. Those are very similar things that should be lumped together. I'm gonna cry. Okay, this is fine. I wonder if in another section he addresses how Chaz demonstrates how the ideology functions in practice. Okay, I've got a request to read it again, and I need to for me. I need it for me. So we're going to do it again, all right? Is everyone ready? No, you have to. I'm so sorry. East Germany, or Chaz for that matter, demonstrates how the Antifa ideology functions in practice when it is institutionalized across a population. I feel like he doesn't know what institutionalized means. Oh my God, Vincent, you're back. Did you give me anything? Oh, Vincent, you're breaking my fucking heart here. You just said all. What can I do with that? Come on. This is embarrassing for you, but we're going to move on. Maybe he'll explain it in the next section, which is entitled Europe. Can't wait to learn about Europe from Andy No, famed Europe expert. All right. Today, the largest, most organized and violent Antifa groups remain in Germany, even though the ideology is spread all over the West. One reason for this is the history of the Holocaust and Nazism for the Germans, excuse me, I'm very drunk, making any movement calling itself anti-fascist palatable to a portion of the public ignorant of the past. A lot to unpack there. So only Germans ignorant of the past would ever find anti-fascism appealing. Is that the claim we're making here, Andy? Is that what we're saying? All right, cool. Yeah, Jeff, I brought up Michael Reinl. I fucking did, dude. Like, we know he exists. We know. Good job. Vincent, Jesus, no one cares about anarchy. Fucking answer my question. Why are you like this? You're letting us all down. We're so embarrassed for you, all of us, every single one. We're just so sad. All right. Right. Okay. Another reason for Germans being so anti-fascist for some ungodly reason is the presence of true neo-Nazi organizing. Ironically, it was concentrated in the eastern region of the country that formerly belonged to the anti-fascist East Germany. Anti-fascist is in quotes there. And Andy, bro, like, the fact that a lot of Nazis are located in East Germany, like, it feels like that should raise some questions about your premise, but I understand you can't do it. Okay, Vincent, thank you. Thank you for establishing that we can't compare East Germany to Chaz. I appreciate you. I completely agree. East Germany was far more organized. You're correct. I don't think that's the only difference, but I appreciate you. Thank you for coming into the chat. I appreciate your efforts. Please carry on. All right, so we've established that Germans don't like fascism, and that's bad. Further, the development of left-wing anti-government movements with origins in the 1960s West German students' protests have allowed far-left subcultures to take root and grow in many cities. That seems cool. That's why I want to go to Berlin when COVID's over, so I can get just incredibly high and party all the time. Despite now having a strong, stable, and prosperous liberal democracy, Germany has the leading GDP in the European Union. Thank you, Andy, for clarifying that's what liberal democracy means. The culture of polarized politics remains. The Federal Office for the Protection of the Constitution, Germany's domestic intelligence agency, released data showing left-wing extremists have become more violent in recent years. Between 2012 and 2017, the number of violence-oriented left-wing extremists identified by authorities increased by 27%. That is an increase from 7,100 to 9,000 individuals in Germany, a large country. That part's me. The Germany, a large country part was me. You don't say how much right-wing extremist groups have increased, Andy, and I don't know the number off the top of my head, but I do know that for a second there, Alternative for Deutschland, AfD, was a pretty big deal in Parliament. I know that they had a bit of a majority. They've done worse recently, which is great, but I feel like possibly left-wing groups are the least of Germany's worries right now because they have got a problem with AfD. But you don't mention that, and why would you? Why would you? It's not your grift. Why would I stand in the way of your grift? I wouldn't do it. Andy is missing several serious far-right German plots, Marcin Drisdell. You are correct. Have a good night, Culva Blogs. Thanks for being here. Oh, Vincent said he sent a link. Did he put it in the chat? Vincent. Tell you what, dude, I'm looking right now. If you can paste it in the chat, like right now. Vincent, paste it in the chat. Yeah, Europolls is correct. They didn't have a majority, but I believe they had more seats than anyone else for a minute, or at least the second most. German's a parliamentary democracy, so like they got a lot of different parties. No one has a majority, but you're correct, Europolls, and I appreciate you a lot. You're right. Like AfD never was like a 51% or more party, but like boy, how did they do well for a second there. Vincent, come on. I can't stall forever. I got to turn back to the book eventually. Berlin is awesome. That's your fucking answer. Come on. I agree. Like, I want to go to Berlin very badly. They seem to have good raves, and I want to go to one. Well, all right. If links don't really work in the live stream, maybe he did send a link. Well, Vincent, I'm on Twitter. Laura Jadid. It's my name. Just on Twitter. Go ahead and send me a link. I'd love to see it. Meanwhile, we're going to continue to learn about Antifa. Okay, so we've already established that left-wing protesters are a problem. The number of violent incidents, says Andy, by left-wing extremists also increased by 88% during that time period. He doesn't supply numbers for what 88% means, but I imagine it's like from a small number to a slightly larger small number. The agency also monitors sympathizers of violent left-wing extremism. From 2017 to 2018, there was about an 8.5% increase. From 29,500 to 32,000 individuals. Let's find out what the population of Germany is. I have an internet. I can find out. 83 million. 83 million people in Germany, but there are 32,000 individuals who are sympathetic with left-wing extremism. I wonder how many voted for AfD. Let's find that out. All right, I'm sorry for doing this in the middle of the stream. Let's see here. They won 12.6% of the Bundestag vote in 2017. It doesn't give me a number, and I'm not great at math, but I'm pretty sure that 12.7% of the voting population of Germany, which is 83 some million, is larger than 32,000. I don't see it, Vincent. I am so sorry. Yeah, no, I believe you. Tell you what, I'm gonna here. I have just entered, in case you weren't aware of it, my Twitter handle in the chat. If you DM me, I will get it and I will read it. I promise, Vincent. I promise I will. All right. While you do that, I do need a co-pilot for fact checking. I'm thinking about doing this all week and like getting like some co-hosts going on. Why would I do this to myself? I'm a fucking masochist. Why do you think I talk about FetLife all the time? Let's carry on while Vincent sends the link. All right, yeah. So now we're moving on to Italy and Spain. Cool, because someone mentioned that he was like leaving out Mussolini, and it's true, he is. So let's see if he fixes that. I bet he doesn't. Let's find out. To a lesser degree, contemporary Antifa groups take inspiration from the historical anti-fascist efforts in Italy against fascist dictator Benito Mussolini. I stand corrected. Originally a member of the Italian Socialist Party, correct, Mussolini later founded the Italian Fasci of Combat in 1919. Members were organized in paramilitary squads known as the Black Shirts for the color of their uniform. Again, Andy with the important information. Thank you for elaborating. The Black Shirts We're a uniform. This is the hard-hitting journalism that I can only aspire to. I am clearly jealous of your prowess, and I stand in awe forever. Dana Doe is correct. Argo Secundari, an anarchist, founded a militant anti-fascist organization in Rome in 1921 called the People's Daring Ones. The group included communists, socialists, anarchists, and anti-monarchists. Almost like a large variety of people think fascism is bad, Andy, because it is. It's bad. You're going to find out. You fucking around. You're going to find out. Not from me, from the fascists, to be clear. They led fights against the black shirts in various towns in the Italian countryside. These historical fights form part of the borrowed mythos used by contemporary Antifa groups today. By fighting people on the streets of Portland, Berkeley, and elsewhere, they claim to be engaging in the same anti-fascist tradition. By 1922, Mussolini, who now headed the fascist party, was invited to form a government by King Victor Emmanuel. After chipping away at the liberal institutions of the state, he declared himself Il Duce, meaning the leader, in 1925. Under his leadership, Italy was one of the Axis powers, with Germany and Japan in World War II. I'm not sure what point you're making here, Andy. You're leaving out a lot of history, as usual. Andy did neglect to mention the Red Hats. I recently listened to the Behind the Insurrection episode about Italy, and it seems like he's leaving out a lot of things like the March on Rome, where he basically forced the king's hand. He's not talking about the fact that Italy was never a liberal democracy at all. He's not really talking about anything. He's just saying that Antifa stealing from them, which, all right, sure. Whatever works for you, dude. All right, let's see if Vincent sent us stuff. I promise I'm going to be done with this soon. I know this has gone on too long. Vincent, bro, you're fucking killing me here. You can't even Twitter tweet me? Vincent, you're breaking my fucking heart here. Laura Jadid, it's me on Twitter. I'm so easy to find. Just message me. I'm checking. You can do it. All right. We'll carry on. We'll carry on. I hope this ends soon. Let me see if it ends soon. It does not. Oh, no, it does. We're almost there, guys. We're almost there. We're like 4 pages out. We're so close. Okay. Oh, God, kill me. Honey, Jeff, baby, you've been using the same joke for like half an hour. You got to find a new one. I don't care what. Come on. Like, tell me I'm like an ugly transvestite. People like that. Do that. Do anything other than saying that we all like love Andy so much. Like, come on. Do something else. I believe in you. You're more creative than this. Tillman Hendlerslam, I could never think you were Vincent, I promise. All right. Unclean 666, Andy Noah is charging about $14.95 for this. I know this because I bought the book legally. Obviously, I would never pirate it. That's not something I would do. That would be wrong and illegal. So for any lawyers watching the stream, I definitely didn't pirate this. In no way did I buy the Kindle edition of this book and screenshot it and then return it, because that would be wrong. And I would never do that. But it was $14.95. Brent Georgeson, it's your right to love Andy. And I hope that he can find love too. All right. Oh, thank you, Bunny Foo. Thank you. I'm feeling good. I never get to do makeup anymore because of the COVID. So thank you. I appreciate the makeup comment. All right, let's carry on. Let's learn more about anti-fascist groups today. Where were we? Jesus Christ, this is fucking terrible. Antifa groups today also borrow mythos based on the history of Spanish anarchists and communists who opposed the nationalists led by Francisco Franco during the Spanish Civil War. Dolores Ebaruchi Gomez, a member of the Communist Party of Spain, popularized the slogan "No pasarán," or "They shall not pass," which is a good slogan, in a speech in 1936. No pasarán is still used today at Antifa rallies and in graffiti messages. While Franco, a Catholic traditionalist, was not a fascist, oh, Andy, baby, fascist scholars would disagree. I mean, he wasn't like the best fascist, and he definitely veered into authoritarianism after his takeover. You're not wrong. But calling him not a fascist is just not correct. Anyway, he received significant military support from fascist Italy and Nazi Germany. Bro, take a fucking hint. Franco won the Civil War in 1939 and established a dictatorship over Spain that lasted until his death in 1975. True. Antifa in Europe today. We're so close, y'all. We're so fucking close. We're going to be done soon, I promise. Franco wasn't like... Franco had some fascist tendencies. He veered into authoritarianism. Like, fascism... Sure, it's part in the fucking wood, right? Like, fascism and authoritarianism look real similar. And sometimes when fascists gain power, they just become authoritarian. Like, that's a thing that happens. Sometimes it happened to Franco. You could argue it happened to Mussolini. I mean, he was more fascist than Franco, but like, he kind of got stultified and like ossified and authoritarian, where things got locked down and there wasn't common purges and shifts and chaos and war. Hitler, that motherfucker, stuck it out to the end. He took the other path. He went all fascist. Like, he never fucking stultified. He never stabilized into a dictatorship. He just was fascist all the way, where there were purges and purges and purges and war and war and war. This is my favorite thing to talk about. Thank you for indulging me. Anyway, Franco wasn't like a true fascist, but like, he had fascisty shit right up until he became an authoritarian, is my opinion. Oh, word. Okay, sorry, Tillman. Clearly, I'm like incapable of understanding sarcasm when it's in YouTube comment form. I feel like I'm good otherwise, but YouTube comments very specifically apparently are my weak spot. So thanks for putting up with me. We're seriously super close. I know it's been forever. We're going to get through this. But what he did state was correct, Vincent. That's the whole goddamn point. Like, everything Andy says is like based in some kind of nugget of truth. It's just that the conclusions he draws from the truth are based on ignoring all the other truth. Like, he seizes on like one thing out of 100 true things and then draws conclusions from that one true thing. That's the whole problem with Andy No, Vincent. That's the whole thing. Okay. Hey, PDX Pleb, thank you. I'll check my email soon. All right. Antifa in Europe today. This will be great. I have no doubt this will be fantastic. Like the Antifa action of the interwar years that claimed certain buildings, neighborhoods, and districts in the Weimar Republic, contemporary Antifa groups do the same. Of particular note are parts of the Kreuzberg, Friedrichshain, and Neukölln neighborhoods in Berlin. Here, radical far-left squatters occupy abandoned property and land. The blind-eye approach by local governments allowed squatting communities to fester for decades, resulting in the development of their own parallel societies where the authority of the state and the rule of law are challenged. Antifa in Chaz, oh, here we go again, attempted to turn Seattle's Capitol Hill neighborhood into a variant of this. Now, I will be very frank. Yeah, Antifa drink, you're correct. Thank you. I did get my money back, theoretically. Obviously not, Vincent, because that would be illegal, but, you know, theoretically, yes. I don't know a lot about Berlin. Hopefully in 2 years when I'm there, just like destroying my brain with drugs and partying all the time, I will know more about Berlin, but right now I don't. So I cannot personally tell you that that Andy is wrong about the unlawful districts of Berlin run by rogue Antifa militias who kill everyone who haven't watched Steven Universe. I can't vouch for sure that that's not happening, but I can say that he's done this rhetoric in the past, specifically with Whitechapel, London, where he basically portrayed it as an Islamist occupied zone where Sharia law reigned supreme, for an article in I believe it was a Wall Street Journal editorial. And it wasn't true. So I'm going to go ahead and assume this isn't true either. If anyone's from Berlin and wants to jump into the comments and tell me that that's not the case, that'd be great, but I'm pretty sure it's not. What I am sure of, 100%, is that Antifa and Chaz did not to like make some kind of Antifa totalitarian state. I just don't think that's true. Jeff has expressed some concern that I'm destroying my brain. And I really want to thank him for thinking that I have a brain in the first place. Thank you, Jeff. You're very sweet. All right, we're going to keep going. Every year on May 1st, also known as May Day, the inhabitants and supporters of these Antifa-friendly neighborhoods turn violent. In July 2016, thousands of masked militants attacked police in Friedrichshain to protest redevelopment efforts in the area. They hurled projectiles at police, destroyed shops, and damaged police cruisers. Over 120 police officers were injured. It took about 18,000 officers to bring the rioting under control. Oh boy, a few things about this one. May Day. Oh, Andy, the balls on you to bring up May Day. When not 2 years ago, you, Andy, stood by and chose not to record on May Day while Patriot Prayer plotted how best to pick a fight at Cider Riot, an anti-fascist cidery that has since gone under, and then proceeded to have this giant-ass brawl in which I believe someone's spine was injured. I believe that was what happened. An anti-fascist spine was injured, and then you doxed her, pretty sure. So the absolute giant balls on you to bring up May Day in your book, I have to respect it. Good going, dude. This is the kind of shit that's going to fucking help you in FetLife. I'm telling you, dude, you've got a future. Good job. Secondly, PDX pleb, fuck yeah. Apparently PDX pleb sprayed Andy with silly string on May Day, and I am going to go on record as saying that I endorse this, and I think you're awesome. Thank you. Thank you for doing your due diligence. Yeah, silly string is not assault. That is science. Scientists have studied silly string and determined that it can't be assault. You're gonna have to prove me wrong. You're gonna have to get a pre-reviewed article to prove me wrong about that, because I'm right. Do I love BLM? Yeah, I think Black Lives Matter, Jeff. I do. Yeah, you can post that shit. Go ahead, post this clip on your fucking Twitter tweet. You got me. I like BLM. I think Black lives are important. Well played. All right. There was something else I wanted to say, and I can't remember what it was because I'm drunk. Right. There were some protests against redevelopment on May Day, which is a holiday that's traditionally used for that kind of protest. So it's weird that Andy would mention this. It's just it's not really proof of a communist takeover. It's just proof that May Day is still a holiday that means something to people who believe in wealth redistribution in a more equitable society. That's all it means. Oh, did Jeff just own us? Yeah, he did. He did own us with the BLM thing. Vincent, I really appreciate your honesty here. Truly. You're awesome. Go you. He says that Andy knows drawing parallels that are thin, and you're correct. So, all right. And by the way, Jeff, Mike Chumaito is correct that you're desperate for attention, but by all means, please continue because it's distracting you from the fucking horror that is this prose. It is terrible. Let's keep reading it. Then, in July 2017, hundreds of Antifa Black Bloc extremists embedded themselves within crowds of thousands of anti-capitalist protesters who demonstrated against the Hamburg G20 summit. The G20 summit is an annual gathering of heads of state and finance ministers who discuss global monetary politics. At the 2017 summit, Antifa militants hurled rocks and lit mortar fireworks at police. Over days, they looted businesses and set cars on fire. The deployment of 20,000 officers wasn't enough to contain the violence. Nearly 500 officers ended up injured. My favorite thing about this book is that it was all written before January 6th, and so I can just be like, oh, there were hundreds of officers injured, huh? How many were beaten to death with a fire extinguisher, Andy? I'm going to guess none. I'm going to guess they didn't beat a single officer of the lot to death with a fire extinguisher. And I'm guessing that nobody killed themselves after the action either. I don't know. I haven't done the research, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Also, my dude, you are out of date. The subject of globalism is weirdly nonpartisan now. The left doesn't like it. The right doesn't like it. Not the airtight case you think it is. Are we peaceful? Jeff, I wouldn't call myself a pacifist exactly, but I would say that breaking windows isn't violence. Violence would be beating someone to death with a fire extinguisher. That's what violence is. Let's keep reading. Sven Muse, the command leader of the Saxony branch of the German state police, had this to say on television at the time. Such violence I've never experienced, and I've been a police officer for over 30 years. Well, Sven, good for you. You should move to America. I promise you'll experience more violence in a very ready fashion. In November 2019, 19 police officers were injured again in Friedrichshain, Berlin, after violent Antifa militants attacked them during an eviction attempt of a building illegally occupied by squatters. You know, a really good way to avoid violence during an eviction attempt is to not fucking evict people. Just a thought. Fucking jot that one down. The rioters also attacked a construction trailer occupied by 2 security guards. The violence was so bad that police retreated. Andy, police retreat anytime they're a little bit scared. Police are afraid. They join because they're afraid, and they want to be, they want to feel powerful. And so that's why whenever they're a little bit outnumbered or a little bit outgunned, they run away. We saw that at Red House in Portland. We'll see it again. Not the indictment you think it is, Andy. Neptune has fucking nailed it. I'm going to read this comment. Violence is but a tool. It's the use of that tool that matters, and I'll defend its use against the state any day. We can argue about when violence is warranted, but it matters what violence is used for. People like to just blanket condemn tactics. Like, it doesn't matter what the tactic is for. Like, if I kill someone that's about to shoot a black person in the head, like, I'm going to go ahead and contend that's pretty cool, actually. If I kill just some random asshole, that's a little less cool. It's a lot less cool. Like, we get so hung up about tactics. Like, it's the neoliberal disease where we focus in on the idea that, like, Kantian-like things are either good or bad. Like, the ends do matter. They don't justify every means, but, you know, the ends do matter. Just my 2 cents. I'm very drunk. All right. You like ice cream? I like ice cream too. Are you a 3%er? Somebody said you were. You should say so. All right. Oh, hey, friendly dad. What's up? Happy to see you here. We're so close to being done with this fucking horror show. I promise we're almost done. Let's keep reading. In November 2019, 19 police officers were injured again in Friedrichshain, Berlin, after violent Antifa militants attacked them during an eviction attempt. Okay, we did this already. Antifa violence is also prevalent in pockets of the east of the country. On New Year's Eve 2019, in the Konnewitz district of Leipzig, police say a group of violent left-wing extremists threw rocks, bottles, and fireworks at them. One officer was so badly injured that he lost consciousness and required surgery at a hospital. Leipzig police investigated this attack as an attempted murder. Excuse me. I can't doubt that somebody was injured to the point where they lost consciousness and required surgery, except that I do know that police sometimes lie. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. That doesn't seem as bad as beating a police officer to death with a fire extinguisher, but I am a filthy communist, apparently, so what do I know? Cheers, Jeffrey. Jeffrey Allen, to be clear, not Jeff. John Hauser. Got anything else for us, Jeff? Want to make sure. Oh, no. Last thing we heard from you, that you like ice cream, and me too. What's your favorite flavor? I think mine's chocolate chip cookie dough, but like with a lot of cookie dough, not a little. All right, carrying on. Suffice it to say, the examples of left-wing violent extremism against the state, individuals, and property are numerous and frequent in Germany, the home of the original anti-fascist action and the largest Antifa movement today. Defenders of the left and the far left often decry these observations, stating they create a false equivalence with the far right. They point to the far right's higher body count to justify their own excesses. However important the observation may be in directing counterterrorism strategies and resources, it is ultimately irrelevant to the argument at hand. Andy, is it irrelevant who kills more people? It feels really super relevant, actually. Because, like, it's not close. Like, it's not like a close tie where I'm like, well, white nationalists killed 21 people, but anti-fascists only killed 20. Like, that's not the situation. The situation is that, as far as I can tell, there has been one death due to anti-fascist action in the past 4 years, and just scores of fucking murder attributed to white nationalists. It's not close, dude. Like, it's not. And pretending it is real dishonest. And I understand that it's good for your grift. I mean, fuck, like, I make my money off donations too. I get it. You know, you got to make your cheddar, right? But like, I just feel like there might be a way to do it more responsibly. And I wish that you would, because this is some bullshit. Okay. It's not irrelevant who kills more people, especially when the disparity is so great. Vincent has asked what good breaking windows do. And Vincent, you should follow me on Twitter, because I bitch about that a lot, actually. And I've lost a lot of support in Portland for it. I think that sometimes breaking windows isn't a good strategy, actually. That being said, Vincent, I don't think that breaking windows is even a little bit equivalent to hurting a human being. I think that windows can be easily replaced. I think that windows aren't really that important. I'm concerned with windows for optics reasons, but I don't actually fucking cry when a window gets broken, and I don't care. That's what insurance is for. And it's just so much less, objectively speaking, than the loss of a human life. Like, it's a window. I can get a new window tomorrow. Like, one time, the window of my car was smashed out at a protest, and I had a new window in 4 days. It was fine, actually. I didn't die. I'm just saying. Anyway. Vandalism is acceptable, says Jeff. And yeah, kind of. I kind of think it is, actually. I think that in a society that murders Black people on a really depressingly regular basis, that vandalism is kind of the least of our worries. And that if you're worried about vandalism in this time where the police have absolutely no accountability for the murders that they do, and that like something like 95% of police get away with just killing people, I would personally be more worried about that than windows, Jeff, but it's up to you. It's up to you. You get to decide. It's a free country, right? That's what I keep being told. We're so close. I'm sorry. It's like Zeno's paradox. I just keep talking more because I'm drunk. But we really are very close to the end. In 2017, Bernd Palenda, the former head of the Berlin branch of the German Domestic Intelligence Agency, stated astutely in an interview with the Berliner Morgenpost, the extreme left would kill if necessary. Andy, your boys have actually killed. That they have been less effective than the far right is not an excuse. Andy, it's not because we're less able. It's because we're less willing, because we understand the difference between broken windows and broken bones. And you don't. And that's real bad for everybody. Both the extreme left and right seek to undermine liberal democracy and the rule of law, whether through the use of violence or other means. What? They have different political visions and goals, but both would result in the destruction of the liberties we value. Bro, first off, fucking throw that we away. And that's going to take a lot more than a paragraph with no citations to establish. So we're just going to go ahead and ignore that because it's real dumb. The just dismissal of the fact that the far right is more dangerous, which I appreciate, Andy, that you acknowledge, but bro, just your paranoid fantasies that the left would like to murder everyone if they could does not constitute proof that the left and the right are the same. It doesn't, all right? If you're going to prove that shit, you got to prove it in some other way. Jeff Donhauser, Laura and Andy kissing in a tree. Jeff, Andy's gay. He doesn't want to kiss me. I'm a woman. WOMAN. He doesn't want any of this. All right. I've lost my place. Yes. Okay. At the moment, the threat of the far right is understood by the American public and actively countered by government, academia, media, and civil society, says Andy, writing before January 6th. No comparable resolve or mass organization exists to counter the far left, which is again funny because in these modern times, we have lots of articles talking about how DHS and other places pushed criminalizing leftist groups when actually the right was the real danger the whole fucking time. This isn't just my fake Antifa press ass talking about that. That's like some shit that's appearing in mainstream publications because it's accurate. Like, the VHS was encouraged to focus on the far left threat, while the far right garnered just far more power and far more danger than the far left has ever had. Like, it brings me no joy to say this, by the way. Like, it brings me no joy that the far left is not dangerous, or like a threat to anything like the world order. It's not a force capable of changing anything right now. That brings me no joy to say. But the facts are the far right is a lot better at it right now. And they're using some means that I like to think the left would never use. Certainly they're not using right now. Anyway, Andy No asks, why? One explanation is the cultural dominance of the left. The political homogeneity in popular culture, academia, and urban centers of influence, for example, New York, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, etc., has produced a populace with extreme blind spots. Andy, I wonder if you cried on January 6th, like aware of how that one day just undermined every single one of your arguments. Like, did it hurt you? My guess is no. My guess is that you lack the self-awareness to understand how bad this was for you. We got one more paragraph left, folks. We're real fucking close. Let's do it. Let's do the last paragraph. You ready? Here it is. This chapter chronicled Antifa's communist origins in the Weimar Republic, an origin reflected in contemporary Antifa groups' propaganda, symbols, and mythos. The next chapter will explore the evolution of the movement's ideology as it eventually established roots in North America. Over the last 50 years, the movement has syncretized with aspects of an anarchism, autonomism, and punk culture, producing a more virulent and violent ideology than the original Antifa action of the 1920s. Well, I, for one, would like to say that fuck punks, they're horrible. Obviously, a scourge upon humanity, and anyone that would embrace a punk ethos is evil. I feel that that's pretty clear from my attire. Yes, famously violent punks. A subculture that is actually kind of shockingly anti-violent. Not my subculture even. I'm a fucking German industrial bitch. And like, we get a little violent, but mostly on the far right. Oopsie doopsie. Sure wish I had a different taste in music. Too late. So anyway, that's the end of this chapter. This horrible, horrible chapter. Thanks for sticking with me. This was horrible. Anyone got any final thoughts for the chat before I log off? We got someone saying punk is awesome. That is correct. I like some punk. Not that anyone asked. I like the Fear. I like the Dead Kennedys. The Ramones leave me cold. No offense to anyone who likes the Ramones. Good on you. Misfits, I don't get it. Again, I'm all about that German industrial, that fucking womp, womp, womp shit, you know? Somebody has told me to drink water. Thank you very much. I'm glad everyone enjoyed this. I'm going to take one last, hold on. All right, we're going to do one last drink. I appreciate y'all. Somebody asked where to leave tips. I swear to God, that wasn't a plant. That was a real person I don't know. In the description of this video, you can find my Cashapp info. I also have a Patreon. Don't feel like you have to. Like, seriously, this is something I really enjoy. Like, I appreciate donations, but like, please don't feel pressured. Fucking Wobscott is the shit! Unclean 6666. You are correct. Whoa, someone's asking about Joey Camp. Is he tweeting about me? That's my stalker, baby. Shit. We got the Subhumans are great. Oh, I'm sad they're bad live. Someone asked to do super chat next time. If I get 1,000 subscribers, I can. I don't have that yet. So to tell your friends to pity subscribe to me so I can grift for money. This is fine, right? Joey, what's up, bro? You want to threaten me? Come on, say something good, Joey. Oh my God, Joey, baby. Your website still looks like shit, Joey. Everyone can log off, by the way. The stream's over. I'm just going to pick on Joey for a while. Like, it's over. This is over. I'm just going to, bro, KMFTM is the shit. I almost wore my KMFTM shirt tonight. I'll wear it tomorrow when I do this again. Joey, baby, call me sweetheart in the chat, Joey. Joey, you're my favorite boy. Come on, let me own you. I know you want to be spanked by me, Joey. That's what you really want. You just need a strong woman to tell you who's boss. That's me. Oh my God, Robert Pelchat, I wish I had the power to summon Robert Evans. That would be pretty great. I'll ask him. I don't think he's going to say yes. I think he's pretty busy. Is it possible the left extremists lack the capacity, no heart for it? I mean, Vincent, no heart for it is an interesting way to put it. I think you're right. I think that the left doesn't have the heart for mass violence. And I think that's a good thing, actually. I mean, I would take that as like, if you notice that only one side is killing people, like that should be an indication of which side wants to kill people. Like just Occam's razor, dude. Like maybe we're like playing a super long game where we just don't kill people, like so that we can lure you into like thinking we're cool so we can kill all of you. But like, I feel like a simpler explanation would be that equating the breaking of windows with the destruction of human life not only elevates the value of windows, but it cheapens the value of life. Like breaking windows, like a window can be replaced, but a human soul can never be replaced. And leftists know that. Like leftists understand the difference. And the far right doesn't, dude. Like the far right doesn't understand. They demonize communists. Let's see, yeah, thank you, Mike Tomato. The left does have a heart. It's a strength. I agree. The left has too many fragmented ideals and splinter cells that oppose each other. Vincent, stop being right in my chat. It's upsetting. Oh, God, Vincent, stop being correct. We need a mass movement. We need fucking unification. We need to stop eating ourselves. The left has plenty of problems. But you know what? You know what, Vincent? The left does have a lot of problems. And I get real mad, like just so often, at how we just destroy ourselves at any provocation. And we have these horrible infighting episodes and we destroy each other for bullshit. And we cancel people for reasons that I feel are dumb. But you know what? We don't kill people, Vincent. There was that incident in Portland that I maintain was ugly. And some people can stand Michael Reinl if they want. I don't. I think that was an ugly incident. It makes me real sad that it happened. But Vincent, that was a one-off. We don't kill people. We just fight amongst ourselves. And as pathetic and sad as it is, and as angry as it makes me, I'd rather be on the side that tears each other apart than the side that shoots up a fucking synagogue. All right? I'm serious. Vincent, if your windows get broken, you can replace them. My car windows got broken during a protest, and boy, howdy, was I unhappy. I didn't like replacing them, but you know what I did, and I don't have a single scar from it. Thank you, Jeffrey Allen. Jeffrey Allen says, your windows are replaceable, our friends are not. And like, seriously, everyone should log off. At this point, I'm just drunk and like talking. This part doesn't matter. Like when I upload this video, this is gonna get cut. So yeah. Hey, Vincent, and I appreciate that, dude. Like, I know you didn't hurt our friends. Like, I'm not blaming you for that. I'm just saying that, like, when it comes to choosing which side to support, I would support the side that breaks windows over the side that breaks people. That's all I'm saying. So, fuck. Scomy asks, what can you say into a sentence or two to friends and fam the one of both sides it. This is going to be more than a sentence or two because I'm too drunk to be concise, but I used to be you, friends and fam. I used to be a centrist. Like, I was far right. I was an objectivist, which is like a libertarian on steroids. And then eventually I moderated and just thought that both sides were garbage. But like, there comes a time where you got to pick a side. And if you look at both sides and one side is killing people and one side is actively undermining democracy and the other side isn't, maybe the other side is doing some shit you don't like. Maybe you really don't like broken windows. Like, that's fine. I get that. Like, I get why you wouldn't. Like, it doesn't bother me like it bothers you, but I get why it bothers you. I get that. But like, there's a crisis, okay? The far right is knocked on its heels, but it isn't out. Just like in Charlottesville, when Antifa, when the far right was on their heels and quiet for a while, but then resurged, and we can see that on January 6th, they came back. Like, they're on their heels again, but that doesn't mean they're gone. And I would say, like, if you're both siding it, like, really look at what both sides are doing, because one side is a lot worse than the other side, dude. Like, so much worse. I know you don't want that, you know, and I know it's scary to take a side because you've been taught that it's virtuous not to. And I say this from like personal experience. This is not, it feels really uncomfortable to say that one side is worse than the other, because as long as you can say they're both the same, then you get to just maintain your neutrality and it doesn't inspire you to action. Like, you don't have to take action if both sides are the same. You could just laugh at both sides, but like, they're not the same. Look at the carnage, look at the violence, look at the fucking human death toll. I know that you don't want that kind of violence. I know that because I used to be you. You don't have to be like this. It's okay. You can change. All right, let's see what we got. I'm sorry. I'm just going to keep going because I'm drunk and I'm having fun. Like, everyone should just leave. Like, there's no reason to stay. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, thank you, Kyle Aldson. You are correct. My Cashapp is that. Jeff Donhauser says that Miss Heathen is triggered. And it's interesting that you think I'm a heathen. I mean, you're right. I guess I am. I'm weirdly more Christian than you'd think, Jeff. But yeah. Jeff does need to cope. Well, I'm glad y'all are having fun too. Give me something to work with here. Anyone got a question? Fucking response? Anything? Help me out. Get some music going. All right, let's fuck up the copyright. Let's do it. I'm gonna get some music going. Let's do it. What do we got? Seriously, like, log off. This is dumb. No one should be on the stream at this point. We're going to do some Rammstein because we talked about Germany a lot today, and it's my favorite. All right. I mean, fuck, now you're talking about my favorite industrial, which isn't actually Rammstein. All right, let's do Cubanate. Fuck it. All right, we'll start with this, and then we'll here. All right, here we go. Huge fan of Cubanate, just inspired. Buzzcocks are cool, not my style. Love Gestafelsign. Europol says I could sing. I don't think you want that. I promise you don't. This is Cubanate. They describe themselves as an industrial terrorist band, and when I heard that, I'm like, oh, you'd better be good to fucking warrant that shit. And they are. They're good enough. Oh. Sholly, I feel your fucking pain, dude. My parents think that Ted Cruz has gone senile, and He hasn't. He's always been this shitty, but they don't know that. They supported him in 2016, and like, I don't know. I don't have the heart to tell them that he was just always fucking terrible. Do some harm, Vincent. Do some harm to evil. Hey, thanks, Spencer. Good to see you. Here. It is weird how the J6 thing really like opened a lot of eyes. Like it definitely opened my parents' eyes. My parents, I'm lucky, like they're far right, they're objectivist, they're libertarian on steroids, right? And like they've never been pro-Trump, but they did think that the idea that he was a threat was overblown. I think January 6th really opened their eyes. I think it's opened a lot of eyes, and it's incumbent upon us to remind people of that lesson. Let's see what we got here. Baby, I've been going through my renegade stage for 15 fucking years. You should call my parents. You can commiserate about how it never ends. Jeff Dunhauser just said that I'm going through my renegade stage. I don't know. I should probably log off, right? Yeah. Show me again with the wisdom. He says, they say there's only so much you can say to folks. There's ones that just don't believe you when you say you've been down to some of the big protests in PDX and not a single building is burned down. Narrative about PDX burning down is a fucking trip, y'all. Like, what in the shit? Like, I seriously, like, I live downtown and I go on walks at 2 a.m. regularly because I'm a goddamn insomniac, and I've never been afraid for my life. Like, part of that's because I've got a large dog, but part of that's because Portland isn't that dangerous, and the idea that Portland being dangerous would endanger its economy is absurd. Because, like, first of all, who cares? But secondly, like, I used to live in Chicago, and, like, there were definitely places I wouldn't go in Chicago, and Chicago managed to have an economy just fine. So even if there were no-go zones in Portland, it wouldn't matter. All right, let me see if Vincent never did come through for me with a DM, the link or whatever. Portland loves drug dealers. Bitch, who wouldn't love drug dealers? Drugs are good. Drugs are good sometimes. Like, it's a sometimes food. Don't do drugs all the time, but drugs is a sometimes food. Like, psychedelics will expand your mind, Jeff Dunhauser. Buy some fucking mushrooms, dude. Take them. Fucking learn who you are. All right. All right, this has been super fun. Love y'all. I'm going to log off. You're the best. Let's do this again sometime. I'll probably do it tomorrow. I'll choose a different chapter and get drunk on something different. It'll be great. Love you. Jeff Dunhauser, mushrooms are drugs, and they're wonderful. They're really good. They're my favorite, too. Have a good night.